Ooh, it's me. I'm the Shroud. Oh damn, here I am. I'm in the Shroud. Oh gosh. Woo. Spooky, huh? This piece of fabric really does have endless utility. Alright, enough with that. Hi out there, people. Hello, horror fans. I'm Nick Cicada, and welcome back to another exciting movie review. It's been a while since I recorded one of these, but a week ago I watched the new David Cronenberg movie, The Shrouds. I guess it's not exactly new. It premiered last year at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival. But nonetheless, I saw it, and I'm here to give my thoughts about it to you, so you can decide whether or not it's worth going to see. Take what I say with a pinch of salt, because I'm a bit tired, and the sun is streaming in, and it's currently 12:52, but I'm gonna go for it. Here we go. This is my review of David Cronenberg's The Shrouds. So, those of you who have been following my taste in movies for a long time will know that I like David Cronenberg. I like all the old-type horror directors that made some of the big-time classics of the 70s and 80s. It's interesting to consider that I was alive technically when George A. Romero was alive. That's bizarre to think about. I like David Cronenberg. I like a lot of those types that made the VHS rental staples of the 80s and 70s. I think that's a very important era in horror history. Tobe Hooper, you know. What's great about David Cronenberg, of course, is that he's one of the last still making these type movies. There's Dario Argento, too, of course. I reviewed, what's it called? Dark Classes. I think it was changed from like Black Glasses to Dark Glasses or something a while back. And that was a great movie, too. I really enjoyed that one. David Cronenberg is about the only other classic-style horror director still going at it. And I think it's really cool that in his 80s, 90s, I forget exactly how old he is, still making movies. So what do I think of his newest output, The Shrouds? Well, let me tell you, this movie isn't really worth all the hype. It's not as good as you might have been led to believe. At least I think so. And I wanted to like this movie a lot. I really wanted to like it. But going in, it just doesn't have that special Cronenberg sauce, I have to say. So let's get into what I did like and what I didn't like about The Shrouds. So I heard about the concept of The Shrouds, which was misleading because every single article and tagline I saw said that this is about a guy that has invented a device that allows him to communicate with the dead. So off the bat, I thought this was going to be kind of like Flatliners or something like that. Or at the very least, I thought it was going to be a compelling ghost story because in the trailer, it's like he wakes up and he's got like cases of shrouds, you know, and they're standing around his room. And I thought, wow, the shroud is such a cool concept. I mean, you know, it's never been done before, at least to my knowledge, in a horror movie, to make the burial garment the monster of your movie. So it could be like the Shroud of Turin or so. And the Shroud of Turin is even mentioned in this movie directly as like a reference. And it's like, wow, that is interesting. Let's have a movie with some creepy burial garments, and it's about that. And like the burial garments let you communicate with the dead, or they are ghosts or something. I thought it was going to be a neat thing like that was like really inventive and fresh. But that's not what this movie is. Sorry. So, what's this movie actually about? I'll try and summarize the plot in as few sentences as possible because it's relatively basic and there's not that much that goes into it. So there's this guy, and he's like this eccentric millionaire, and he has this dead wife that had like a broken hip and needed surgery, lost an arm, lost a breast, and then he slowly goes like crazy-ish because he hasn't had sex in a long time and he misses having sex with his wife, and he's installed a technology into his gravestones. He runs like a mortuary where you can like watch your loved one decompose underground, like with 3D scanning and camera apparatus and all of this high-tech type stuff. He ends up having sex with his dead wife's sister, and then he ends up having sex with some European lady, and then that's the end of the movie. And nothing remotely supernatural happens throughout the entire 2-hour runtime. So that's the plot of the Shrouds. There is kind of a little bit of a subplot, but by and large, that's the general premise of the Shrouds. It's about this sad old eccentric millionaire who has invented this goofy technology because he's obsessed with looking at his wife's corpse, and then he has some sex, and then he's like, wow, my life's cool again, okay, and then he's done caring about his wife, I guess. That's the idea. Needless to say, I was a bit disappointed that this is a movie from the same guy that directed Existence, Videodrome, The fucking Fly. Like, these are movies that are special effects powerhouses. They're spectacles. I mean, they're awesome to look at. They're disgusting, don't get me wrong. I mean, when Jeff Goldblum starts vomiting up that special sauce, you know, it's gonna get some visceral reactions, but it's like, wow, this has been put to film, and it's fucking awesome. But there's nothing like that here in the Shrouds. So, with a lackluster story that's really boring and plods on for 2 hours, and a lack of special effects, and not even like a cool concept, I'm left severely disappointed by the Shrouds. This was a letdown in basically every conceivable way. I can't say that I had a fun time while watching this movie. This movie did display some intriguing promise. The opening scene, where the guy is underground, he's dreaming that he's in this subterranean cave, and he's watching this firefly float over his dead wife's body, and the firefly represents like the soul or something. According to Judaic tradition, it's explained like 10 minutes later. I thought that it was going to be super surreal and cool, and like it was going to be this exploration of this guy's mind and how he perceives the world after his wife's death. But the rest of the movie is just set in reality, and it's none of the movies like that ever again. The other scene that I kind of liked was when he put on the shroud. And he's like, oh, I put on the shroud to feel how it is to be in one of these. I thought that was kind of cool, and I thought the movie was going to like ramp up from there, but I guess not, because it never happens again. The Shrouds are barely ever fucking mentioned. For a movie called The Shrouds, the Shrouds sure as fuck don't play much of a part in it. It's like if Existence didn't take place in Existence or something. So, when the movie started, it goes out of its way to establish that this eccentric millionaire, his technology where he can watch the decomposing body of his wife is really unnerving to people. People don't like that you can install a camera in someone's casket and watch them decompose, because obviously, like, this is really fucked up, right? That you can't let go of someone after they die. And this is played to really good comedic effect in the first scene, where he's trying to seduce this lady, and she's like, oh, yucky, you're watching your dead wife's decomposing body. I'm gonna have to leave now. So I thought this was pretty funny, like it was gonna be kind of a dark comedy or something. But as it turns out, he's not only an eccentric millionaire that has installed this technology in his wife's casket, but this is a technology that he wants to like sell and like make a business out of. And it's like, how many people actually want to watch their dead loved ones decomposing in the ground? Like, this is a very niche market. I guess the movie is trying to say something about technology, or how there's no privacy anymore and we can't even be private after we're dead. And David Cronenberg type typical stuff where it's like, you know, a social commentary on how technology works. What Videodrome did for TV broadcasts, what Existence did for video games. It's the updated, here's how technology can go bad, oh damn. But it never really reflects on the negative aspects of having to watch your dead relatives decomposing in real time. And it's a serious plot hole that this guy makes any money off this, because aside from him and his really niche hang-up where he has to watch his wife decompose, who is paying for this? Who wants this? Like, if it's a social commentary about a society where everyone wants to see their dead relatives decomposing, I don't think that's really a thing that people want. Even today, even in 2025, which is when this movie is set, it's not set in the future or anything, or I guess it's set in 2024, because it came out in 2024, and there's a website at one point that says that's the year. I don't think that's a technology that anyone's really interested in. In fact, it would be really boring. You would just sit there, there are corpse again today. Wow, yeah, big surprise. I mean, what's supposed to happen? Why watch a non-stop live feed of a corpse decomposing? What, is it supposed to be like exciting or fun or something? Or just give you reassurance that they're still in there? Because, like, yeah, they're probably still in there. Unless, like, the grave's been robbed, probably still in there. So that's a plot hole in the movie. This isn't really like a useful technology that anyone would care about. The whole premise of the movie is dumb, because if he was just a lone eccentric millionaire tossing his money at this wacky shit, then I'd be like, yeah, this makes sense, because that's a common thing in horror and sci-fi. Like Jeff Goldblum, for instance. He thinks that his transportation pod is going to be the next big thing, but really, nobody cares about it. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants it. He just wants it. It's fun for him, but the rest of the world is like, yeah, we're going to have to hard pass on this technology that makes everyone vomit green and turn into an insect creature, okay? And that makes sense. I mean, that's like, you know, classic sci-fi horror type shit there, where like this one wacky bastard has come up with some zany shit, but it doesn't catch on, because like, why would it? It's fucking stupid. And they're a mad scientist or whatever. So this main guy goes to his wife's sister, and they're like friends. And he actually says, this is an actual line in the movie, am I going to slip into passive asexuality? I forget if that's actually the line, but it was something like that. Maybe not exactly. And I thought, wow, I'm asexual. Here's a character for once that I might be able to relate to. He looks like he's decent friends with his dead wife's sister, and she's just taking care of dogs and shit, and, you know, he's just comes over for a nice, wholesome breakfast, and maybe this will be a movie about a guy who doesn't have sex anymore because his wife has died, and he's really sad and broken about that, and he just watches her corpse decomposing all day. He's not going to have sex anymore. He has no more sexual tendencies. Wow, what an interesting premise for a movie, I thought. I mean, if the movie is going to bait me with the potential of an asexual character, I thought it was going to go down that route a little, about how this guy doesn't want to have sex with anyone anymore. But that's not how the movie turns out, and the movie gets super cringe later on. Admittedly, I don't expect every character in a movie to be asexual, but if the movie's going to bring up asexuality, I would expect it to explore the subject a little bit. Oh, it doesn't go through that at all. It's not interested in that subject. It's not even interested in the subject of that you can watch your loved one's decaying corpses in real time. So after this, the main guy, he makes friends with Maury. Maury is, what's his name's character, the same guy that played the rich guy in The Brutalist. By the way, the reason I'm not going to review The Brutalist is because it has some AI shit in it, and I don't review movies that have AI shit in them. Definitely not anymore. No way, Jose. But anyway, so the nerd guy, which he plays a totally different character in this than The Brutalist, so I can admire his range. He does have some range. And he's probably the most interesting character in the movie, but he's not as interesting as any other character in any other David Cronenberg movie I've ever seen. So he's tasked with, like, investigating the mystery of the main guy's grave site is broken into and vandalized, and there's like a terrorist group that is against his technology or something. But all this is the subplot. And it's not that interesting anyway, because it's never resolved. No answers are ever given to how it works. And the point of a mystery is to solve it, but it's never solved. So I just kind of zoned out on that. The main story is about this guy having sex again. Not getting over his dead wife, because the movie is about how you can never actually get over a dead wife or anything. But he just bangs his problems away. And that's the point of the movie. So he ends up having sex with his dead wife's sister because apparently she's turned on by conspiracies. And the fact that he's embroiled in this mystery of who vandalized his graveyard leads to them going at it. And there's this really long, really boring, like 5-minute sex scene of them just going at it. And then he goes at it with this blind lady from Europe. And he's like, ooh, let's touch. Heck yeah. So this is the story of this movie. Now you might be saying, hey, wait a minute, Nick. Videodrome has sex too. James Woods and Debbie Harry go at it. He extinguishes the cigarette on her breast. And you don't mind that? Well, no. Because in Videodrome, James Woods also pulls a VHS tape out of his stomach. And for an asexual like me, the sex parts aren't interesting, but at the very least, I can get behind someone pulling a fucking VHS tape out of their stomach. On the other hand, in the Shrouds, nothing like that happens. The Shrouds aren't utilized. The idea of watching corpses decay isn't utilized. There's no body horror, really. The special effects, what there are of them, like the cut-off finger and the scars, are all CGI and really minimal. And I was just bored out of my gourd the entire time I was watching this, because nothing remotely scary or gross or even conceptually interesting happens. Everything goes about how you'd expect, and there's no supernatural element or even an insanity type element. So I read an interview with David Cronenberg, and he says this is supposed to be a depressing movie that's about how closure never happens, and when your wife dies, you're going to be sad for a long time. And, maybe the point is this guy, no matter how much sex he has, nothing's going to do it, because, his wife is dead. However, I don't have a dead wife. I'll likely never be married even, and I just like watching fun horror movies with interesting premises. So I can't relate to David Cronenberg's grief. And yeah, it sucks, but I just can't. So this is a very personal type movie. Now I can respect that. He's giving his own vision and his own spin on things. But I wish we got another Videodrome out of this guy. And I thought that this was going to be like his magnum opus, maybe. I thought maybe this was going to be like a tour de force of what David Cronenberg is capable of. I thought maybe this would be like his fucking career statement, like Megalopolis was for Francis Ford Coppola. I thought maybe this was going to be like his fucking Ben-Hur or something, where he's like, here's everything that David Cronenberg can do. I'm tossing it all at the wall because I'm going to be dead soon myself, so here it is. But nothing like that. This is a really boring movie, and if this is the last movie that David Cronenberg makes, man, I'm going to be sad. I'm glad he gets to make it, because clearly his wife dying was sad, but I don't know, I thought it was going to be about spooky ghosts and ghouls or something, or like Shrouds, and they would come to life, and they would attack this eccentric millionaire in his mansion and swarm all over him and be like, you violate the dead, you bastard. Here, have a taste of your own medicine. They grab him up, they haul him out to the graveyard, they shove him in the hole, they bury him over. I thought it was going to be something awesome like that. I didn't think it was just going to be, sad old guy bangs it out and learns that he can still bang it out, and his reproductive system still operates. Wow, whoop-de-fucking-do. I guess maybe when I'm 80, and I still probably won't have a dead wife at that point, but I might be able to look at this movie with a little more relatability or appreciation. But the character in this movie is like in his late 50s, as opposed to Cronenberg, who's like 80, 90, like I say. So there's a little bit of a difference. This guy's just kind of middle-aged. He's not exactly elderly. And so he just has sex with his wife's sister. And at least you don't have to watch like an 80-year-old humping, but like seriously, what's the point of this movie? It's so boring and listless and just drags on. I thought it was going to be kind of like Darren Aronofsky's movie Pi. Like, Pi's a cool fucking movie. It's about a guy that goes crazy because he's obsessed with math. Okay, I like these types of thriller movies where a character goes crazy because they've done something that transcends the laws of space or whatever, or it's all in their head and they haven't transcended the laws of space. There's no paranormal or supernatural element, but they're just crazy and you see the world from their perspective and reality falls apart around them. And I thought that that's how this movie was going to be. Kind of like Pi, but with dead people. Okay. I thought that it would be a really neat, unique, original premise like David Cronenberg is known for doing, like Crimes of the Future, which I saw a couple years ago when it came out theatrically, and I fucking loved it. Like, there's sex in it, and there's a lot of gross shit, but the concept of Viggo Mortensen growing new organs and showing them off, and them being like a new type of entertainment spectacle for the people in the future, I thought that was cool as fuck. He goes to his gut, you know, he pulls out, oh, here's a spop, and everyone goes, wow, Viggo, you grew a new organ. That's fucking awesome. And the subplot is equally interesting with the plastic choco bars. I thought that movie was fucking awesome. And if that was the last movie David Cronenberg made, I'd be like, wow, that's fine. Neat little bow on your career there, because that's a fantastic fucking movie that was like a total romp to watch. I had a great time watching Crimes of the Future, but The Shrouds is boring as hell, and it doesn't feel like a David Cronenberg movie most of the time. It feels like some kind of daytime soap opera or something, which this movie was originally supposed to be a TV series for streaming. So maybe originally it was going to have like an hour or so more, because the ending does feel really unfinished and unsatisfying. So maybe it was going to have like a conclusion. And I'm really glad this wasn't a streaming series, because I don't pay for streaming and I like watching movies theatrically. And I'd prefer if our great directors can release their fucking movies theatrically instead of we have to pay fucking $12 to Netflix or whatever a month just to watch the fucking Shrouds, which isn't even worth it. I'd rather just pay, you know, $12 to a movie theater one time than have to like buy a fucking streaming service. But I do think that this movie feels like a soap opera or like a really dumb plotting romance most of the time. It's so schmoozy and sentimental, and there's no viscera to it. There's no fucking teeth. There's no James Woods pulling a fucking VHS tape out his gut, which is what I go to these type movies for. I would say that this movie actually feels like a repeat of Videodrome, because it's about the character who feels like he's going crazy, James Woods in Videodrome, and this old guy in the Shrouds, or, you know, middle-aged guy, whatever, and he is pulled into this vast international conspiracy where he can be sure of nothing, and there's this seductress, and there's also a nerd-type character, Maury in this, Harlan in Videodrome. The difference is, Videodrome is so much more fun to watch, and whereas its statements about mass media in the 1980s still hold up for the most part today, even though it's about VHS tapes, or in the movie it's a Betamax tape, fun fact, because that's more Canadian. I don't feel like The Shrouds will hold up as well as a statement on 2020's technology. It feels like an update, like a redo of Videodrome that's just more sad, has less special effects, and is basically the same movie over again, just about, you know, internet and AI and all of this, and how you can watch your dead person decomposing or whatever. It's trying to say something about, here's the 2020s, here's where we find ourselves in. Now, I will give The Shrouds credit. The AI element is handled extremely intelligently, which is something I don't see in other shows or movies. Other shows or movies will take AI shit, like Late Night with the Devil. Late Night with the Devil, more like Lame Night with the Devil, ass film. So it takes this AI shit and presents it as, here's footage from the 70s. What a load of ass, right? That's fucking stupid. Now what Cronenberg does is he takes a 3D rendered computer animated model, like, you know, in Toy Story, and he says this is an AI character. But you can tell it's not AI because it's obviously speaking with, like, thought out dialogue and shit that is obviously rendered by a team of humans and people that make this computer generated character that looks like it's from Toy Story and bears no resemblance to, like, an actual AI thing. So I do respect that. This movie is a good example of how to represent AI in a movie, which is don't use actual AI, and especially don't use AI for something that isn't even supposed to be AI, like Lame Night with the Devil. Just have it so that you make a fake robot using people, like has been done in movies since movies have been a thing. Like Robbie the Robot isn't an actual robot, he's a guy, or, you know, an extremely complex mechanical apparatus that moves around, but there's a guy behind him, and people had to actually make him. They didn't just punch a button and a computer pops him into existence, because that's fucking pathetic. So I do admire David Cronenberg for that, is he handles the topic of artificial intelligence in a tactful and respectful way, and the character that's supposed to be AI isn't actually AI. So I like that. And I don't feel like David Cronenberg, this must be said, I don't feel like he's out of touch. I don't feel like, oh, he's 80, so he can't make a movie about AI or computers or whatever, because he made Videodrome and that's outdated or whatever. I feel like he really has a pretty good pulse and handle for how the internet feels and, you know, how dead it can feel and dystopic and all of this. And a lot of people have said, oh, we shouldn't make movies about AI uprisings anymore, because that's just the real world now. We can't make science fiction anymore, because that's just the real world now. And it's like, no, you can always make intriguing science fiction. You can always extrapolate what's going on currently and stretch that out into an interesting premise. And not all science fiction even needs to be set in the future. It can be set in the present. Like A Scanner Darkly. That's just about drug use, and Philip K. Dick used a shit ton of drugs. So that's, you know, well, it may be set in a near future, and it might have technology that doesn't technically exist currently, like the skin-changing body morph suit or whatever. It's about current issues, and it's about current things that go on, and it's important for science fiction to address things that are currently happening. Just like Videodrome did in the 80s, the Shrouds does for the 2020s. So I admire Cronenberg's efforts to tackle a current issue with science fiction and make a movie about how, you know, invasive it is to look at your dead relatives in a camera. That's a cool idea. And if the movie really was more about that, I might actually respect it. If it was about, you know, how invasive it is to look at your dead relatives with a camera, but the movie doesn't really dwell or focus on that nearly enough for me to say it's like an interesting morality tale about how fucked up this guy is. Needless to say, I really do hate when people are like, we're already in a science fiction dystopia, we don't need to write science fiction anymore. I'm a fucking idiot and I don't consume media. I'm illiterate as fuck. Like when people, during COVID, everyone said, oh, we can't make a story about a pandemic anymore because COVID's... Not every pandemic is COVID. You can make a cool new type of pandemic. You can imagine something. You know, grow the fuck up. You can. This will probably continue throughout my life. This stuff will keep happening and people will be like, we can't write about this in fiction anymore because it's real now. Like, you can write a fictional romance because romance is real. You can write a science fiction story about something that's pretty vaguely similar to what's already happening in the present. So I guess ultimately my problem with the Shrouds is that it doesn't go far enough with its premise. All the technology in it feels relatively believable. Even though, like, whenever it shows a 3D rendering of a corpse or something, it's obvious that it's not actually being, like, rendered in real time. It's like a pre-generated, computer model that's like Toy Story. Again, the tech that's used to make the dead people is the same that's used to make the AI assistant. It's all just CGI. But the technology of real-time 3D rendering of a corpse or something does feel like it could probably be done today with current technology. I just don't feel like the concept goes far enough. I don't feel like enough happens with this technology that is interesting. And there's so many possibilities here. I could make a way more interesting story using the basic premise of this movie. I thought it was going to be kind of like the cemetery episode of The Night Gallery with Roddy McDowall, where he sees the painting, slowly change as the corpse moves towards him. And I thought that the eccentric guy was going to slowly realize, oh no, the shrouds are coming for me. The shrouds are going to eat me alive. They're going to devour me. I thought it was going to be like that. But I guess not. I guess in terms of a spooktacular, that's not what you're going to get with the Shrouds. I thought that his house was going to get run amok. But that never happens. I mean, this movie is just a real slog to get through. Which, if that's David Cronenberg's intention, man, he succeeds. This is a depressing, boring movie for sure. I'll give him that. But it doesn't feel like what I expected at all. And I feel kind of gypped. With the passage of time, I might look back a little more fondly on this movie. I might go, well, yeah, it had a little something going for it. At least it's not fucking Alien Romulus or whatever. At least we still have directors like Cronenberg trying out new concepts, even if they don't always land. But I really think we could do better in terms of science fiction or horror, in terms of original premises. I really feel like we could try a little harder. It's not like Cronenberg that brought us The Fly and Existence. I am just amazed that this movie got out at all. I feel like it should have just maybe stayed an idea for a streaming show or something, because it feels so half-baked and undercooked and underdeveloped. And it just feels like Videodrome, but the lame, sad version that's for people who've lost their wife. Okay. Oh yeah, one thing that I also feel is worth saying is the main guy, his accent reminded me of Tommy Wiseau. Not just his accent, which I guess is French, but also just like his acting style. I felt like I was watching The Room a couple of times. Now, like I say, the nerd character, Maury, his acting was actually like, decent. I kind of bought into his character a little bit. But the main guy, the eccentric millionaire, there's this one point where he's talking about Maury, and he's like, oh, that guy's a schizophrenic bastard. Oh, that schizophrenic moron. Fucking schizophrenic moron. And I felt like I was watching, oh, hi, Mark. So, you might have a little giggle over that, I guess. He might be an okay actor and other stuff, I don't know. Maybe he's better in, like, French movies, but it just felt so stiff. I don't know. Some people will probably think his performance was great. For me, it just was like, I don't know. I like James Woods. I like Videodrome. James Woods is an excellent main character. Same with Jude Law in Existence, honestly. Existence is great. I think more people should watch Existence. Again, 20 years old and extremely prescient and extremely good at talking about how technology affects people. I mean, video games are still a thing, so it's not outdated at all. Videodromes, Existence, movies that I'd much rather watch than The Shrouds. The Shrouds, more like The Snores, am I right? Yeah, ultimately I'm just disappointed by The Shrouds because it was not advertised correctly. It's not a horror movie, it's not a sci-fi movie really, because none of the technology in it is that out there. It's more just like, I guess, a drama. I mean, that's probably a decent way to describe it. It's a drama about this really sad guy that just feels like he can't have sex, and then he learns that he can have sex. So, whoop-de-fucking-do. There keep being these dream sequences that happen with his dead wife, and I thought they were going to get, like, intense and epic, and it was going to get just, like, more and more crazy. You know, like the hallucinations in Videodrome that James Woods has, where things just get more and more and more crazy. And there's a satisfying answer to the mystery presented in Videodrome, and a very straightforward, satisfying narrative that isn't, like, ambiguous for the heck of it. And we know who the bad guy is. It's Barry Convex. Barry Convex is the bad guy in Videodrome, and you know, everything's a hallucination, but you know at the very least what the basic conflict of the movie is, and who's pulling the strings, and who's calling the shots, and who runs Videodrome and shit. Even if James Woods is hallucinating a lot of it. There's a really satisfying punch to Videodrome that just doesn't happen in the Shrouds. He keeps having these dream sequences. His wife keeps coming to him, and she's like naked, and she's like, "Oh, my breast isn't here anymore. I got a breast removed." And he's like, well, he's French. "Oh, but that was my favorite breast." And, you know, this dialogue is just so cringe. And it's like, what, he's so shallow that he can't just appreciate his wife because his favorite breast is gone? How is the left one so different from the right one, or vice versa? This is like the body horror part of the movie, but she just has like a stitch, and one of her arms is half gone, which, like, you know, there's a blind character in the movie, so I don't see why we're treating his dead wife's paraplegic condition as, like, scary or something. It's really not. It's just like, oh, she doesn't have half one arm, oh, she doesn't have one breast. Really, like, is this guy so shallow that he just, like, will have sex with his dead wife's sister just because she still has both breasts intact? This is so stupid. Yeah, again, as an asexual, I don't understand how any of this shit works, but it's so cringe. I kept thinking that these dream sequences would get more and more intense, and eventually she'd come to him like as some kind of flaming skeleton from beyond the void and be like, "You violate the dead, you bastard! Put me back in the ground where I belong, and take that camera off me! Oh God! Oh!" But that never happens. Her face never melts off or anything. The most that happens is she climbs into bed with him, and she's like, "Oh, don't hug me real hard, because my hip will break." And then he's like, "Oh, I'll hug you real hard." Snap. And that's as intense as the body horror gets, just like, "Oh, don't hug me, my hip will break." And then it does. And it's like, what the fuck did you think would happen? Can't you just, like, lie separately, you know? I get that it's a dream, but, like, this dream sequence is so fucking boring. It's as boring as the real parts of the movie, and it never ramps up or anything. So in conclusion, my space on my camera is almost out. I'll just say this. I thought that The Shrouds was going to be an epic ghost story, or at least like a story where a guy goes crazy, and there's no supernatural element, but at least he goes crazy, in the style of The Premature Burial. I mean, this is a well-worn idea in horror, but it is for a reason. It's cool. And I like to see the dead return, or all the cameras in his surveillance lab turn on all at once, and all the shrouds pop open with ghouls. But it just doesn't happen. It's just like, "Oh, your breast is missing, honey. My favorite breast. That schizophrenic moron. Ooh." And I don't know. I feel like more could be done with a horror movie. I don't know. I might review Sinners next, because I actually like Sinners. But The Shrouds, what would I give The Shrouds? I have to give The Shrouds like 4 out of 10. It just doesn't do it for me. When I think about it, this is the same guy that Videodrome. It's like, what the fuck? Okay. I'm glad he was able to vent his sadness. I hope he makes one more movie. I hope it's like fucking awesome. I don't know. I'm as a Cronenberg fan, I'm just like, meh. This was like, what? Okay, that's it for today's movie review. This was an interesting movie to talk about. I feel like this is very much a sad, depressed movie, and I've been feeling kind of sad as of late, but watching this sad, depressed Frenchman with his pathetic death spy camera kind of peps me up, because it's like, damn, at least I'm not like this fucking loser over here. Get a load of this, Shrouds. Am I right? Okay, I'm going back in the shroud now. I just want to know how it feels. Catch you next time, people. Woo. Ooh, spooky.